Time being 7:02, call this meeting to order. For those of you watching from home or wanting to know how to participate in this meeting, visit the town's website at www.townofbartonville.com/meeting to view the instructions for the agenda. Because of the virtual nature of this meeting and to avoid talking over each other, council members and staff, please raise your hand within the Zoom app when you would like to speak, and you will be recognized in the order your request was received. Since this is our first virtual meeting, I would ask that everyone's patience and understanding as we go along. With that, let's get started. Public comment. Ms. Dixon, do you have any participants that wish to speak? The town's website at www.townofbartonville.com.
No, sir, I do not see any.
Okay, presentations. COVID-19 presentation from Denton County Emergency Services District. Chief Lugo, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Give me just a screen.
I can share my screen and do that PowerPoint presentation that way.
I don't have you able to share, but he sent me the PowerPoint.
Oh, I made just 2 changes on it. That's okay. I'm just not finishing a shift here in Garland. I'm working with the state right now on this COVID stuff.
All right. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Just let me know when you need me to change the slide.
Go ahead. You go ahead. All right, so this PowerPoint presentation, Captain Muscle and myself put this on together, and talk a little bit about the history of COVID, what happened, how it came to us in our United States, and how it's affected us and what we're doing as far as a mitigation standpoint. So with infection and prevention control, COVID-19, we want to limit the human-to-human transmission, and that's by the means of mask, using gloves or washing your hands frequently and not touching your face. That way you don't get the virus. Then that helps reduce secondary infections, passing it on to family members and anybody else. You know, it's what I've seen. I've gone to Kroger a couple times to get groceries and stuff, and I've seen people with medical gloves on and they're talking on their cell phone still or sending text message with gloves on, but that's still transmitting whatever's on your gloves to your phone, to your face and all that. So people need to be mindful of that kind of stuff. So we're just trying to prevent the transmission. Okay, Tammy. All right, so we're gonna go over the natural history of COVID-19, how it spread, and go to the next one. We'll show you the rotation of it. So it starts here with the pathogen, and it's COVID was actually in existence before, and it was cows and animals, but this COVID-2 strain came from China, and that's where we got this virus. Comes in as a pathogen, goes clockwise to the reservoir, which is the human contact. It's unknown still exactly how it was transmitted, what's happening, or mutating or not. And you got the airway compromise, so the droplets are saying can stay suspended in the air for about 3 hours. So if you're walking through an area that a patient was COVID positive and they've coughed or sneezed in that area, it's still suspended in the air. So if you don't have a mask on, that's how it's getting transmitted to people. That's why they're asking to keep the distance more away from people. Just try to limit the exposure. So transmission, again, it's by airway. Then it finds a host, and individuals that are exposed to the virus will be infected. And they've actually been doing studies and finding out that people are asymptomatic. It means you may have the COVID virus and not even know it because you're not showing any signs or symptoms, and you're still infecting other people that don't have it. So that's one of the things that's affecting everybody out here right now. Okay. So standard precautions, like I said, washing hands with water and soap for about 20 seconds each time you wash your hands. That way you make your hands using personal protective equipment such as eyewear, eyeglasses, gloves, mask. We have to change our way we roll out our responses also by wearing all this PPE. Respiratory hygiene, they're talking about instead of coughing in your hand, coughing in your arm, on your clothes. That way you're not spreading it through your hands and touching something else. And then environmental cleaning, cleaning any surfaces that you touch or anybody that could come in contact with it. Okay. So again, here's just some examples of different types of PPE that are out there. All right. So general principles of PPE: good hygiene, washing your hands good, remove and replace anything necessary. So with this, we've been working with our local police officers and departments such as Bartonville, Northlake, Argyle, and we've already expressed the invitation to them. If any of their police officers become contaminated or exposed to COVID, that they can come to our fire station in the bay. They have a change of clothes with them. They could change into their other uniform. We'll wash their uniform for them in our extractor with our special soap that we have, and we'll decontaminate their vehicle for them as well to reduce any exposures to the officers. And we've also been taking care of the officers with PPE items, whatever they need also. Okay. So the global timeline of COVID, so December 31st is when China actually announced in Wuhan that they were getting dozens of cases of pneumonia from an unknown cause. And then on January 7th, the outbreak was identified as the new coronavirus. On the 11th, first confirmed death worldwide, man in his 60s from Wuhan, China. And on the 21st, first US case, the man in his 30s in Washington State. And then from there, it just spread. Again, it was through aerosolization. So he breathed in the droplets and passed it on. Okay. So the 30th, World Health Organization declared an outbreak emergency. On the 8th of February, first US citizen died from COVID-19. On the 26th, first case with no clear source of exposure was announced in California. 29th, President Trump announced travel restrictions. And on March 8th, confirmed cases in the US top 500. Okay. So again, this is going more information. The 15th, we surpassed 3,000. And New York, California, and Washington were the initial hotspots, and then it quickly spread from there. And March 16th, President Trump advised all Americans to avoid gatherings of 10 or more, try to limit the exposure. Okay. So 17th of March, West Virginia, last state in the U.S. without a confirmed coronavirus case, reported its first. And in the country already had 5,800 cases by then. On the 20th of March, a New York mayor said the largest city is now the epicenter of the crisis. And they're still dealing with it in major ways right now. The 21st of March, was hit the hardest, surpassed 10,000 people that were infected. And on the 24th, there's 50,000 in the US. This was quickly spreading, and it is worse than the flu. Even though people are out there are saying it's just like the flu, get over it. Well, the flu, there's so many deaths over a year period, not over just a month or 3 month span of what we're seeing with this virus. This one's actually much deadlier than the flu. Okay. So on March 25th, President Trump approved disaster declarations for Florida, Texas, and North Carolina. This is where we set up a meeting in Argyle with all the mayors, town managers. So we met Town of Argyle Town Hall with Bartonville, Northlake, and our emergency management team at the fire department. And Argyle was there as well. And we all discussed disaster declarations, what we needed to do to keep the community safe, share knowledge, share information. So that way we could all be on the same page and help the communities together and be on the same sheet of music. So that way one city's not doing something different than the other. We're all working together. And we also created a listserv. So any emails that we send out that has to do with coronavirus, all the town officials, such as mayors and city managers, are on there. We do not put council members because of the quorum laws that we don't want to break or breach. So the mayor's, town managers are on there. We send out daily the incident action plans and any other vital information that they may need for dealing with this virus. And the 26th, there US passed 1,000 confirmed cases nationwide and total of 68,100 is what it came to. And it's still growing. Okay. So don't worry about the North Lake part. So it's one of the things I changed was Bartonville. We have to do presentations to all the towns as well. This just breaks down. The 15th is when the houses of worship in North Texas are closed Sunday service. On the 16th of March, fire administration, again, we set up the meeting and started from day one. That was our start date for dealing with this virus. On March 19th, 4 of our firefighters were quarantined due to possible exposure to COVID-19. So we had to isolate them until they got the results back from testing. And on the 17th, our emergency operations center is activated to a level 3. It is still activated. Okay. So this just gives more timeline on stuff on what we're doing and throughout the ESD. On the first confirmed case in Denton County was on March 25th. We had another one on the 26th and one on the 30th. So you can see we were starting to get in our emergency service district, and we send out the information to the mayors, town managers, and police chiefs if it's in their area. So that way they're aware they have a COVID patient. So that way, if they happen to respond there as far as a call, they know what precautions they have to take, and we're notified also. Okay. So this gives you a brief overview for our incident management team activation. Again, on the 17th, we activated it. Then we created an incident action plan or an IAP. And I'll show you an example of that one. So if you all ever want to look at that, you can. It's not for public dissemination because we have lots of contacts out there for emergency contacts and stuff and private information that cannot be released to the public. Changes in fire and EMS deployment occurred. I created an executive summary to give out to the mayors and town managers so that way they don't have to read the entire incident action plan every day and have information they don't really need. I kind of break it down to them in smaller areas. And we have multiple conference calls every single day. Okay. So here's a copy of the front page of our incident action plan. Again, each operational period is for 24 hours. We update this daily and send out the new one each day. And that barcode there, if you were to scan it, you would get a copy of the incident action plans and you can scroll through it without having to print copies. Okay. So our 214 form, this is ICS. This is why it's important for the town staff who will be in incident management team positions if we have a disaster in your area, which we're experiencing now. The federal government actually requires key personnel in the cities to get their NIMS 100, 200, 7, and 800 for reimbursement purposes and grants. That's actual federal requirement. So in those classes, they teach you how to use these 214 forms. So on day one, when we found out what was going on, we started these forms and we list everything that we do the entire shift, the 24-hour operation period. And it's filled out every single day until the end of this disaster. And again, this is for reimbursement purposes. So if the town ever has to use expenditures funds for anything they purchase that's related to COVID, just get with Captain Muscle or myself, let us know. We'll work with you because a lot of it's reimbursable to the towns. That way you're not out that money. As far as staffing overtime and all that, that's directly dealing with COVID. FEMA reimburses. Okay. So here's an example of a executive summary that was sent out to the mayors and town managers. Briefly describes what's going on, gives the case counts in the county, in our ESD, and any deaths that happened, and any of our personnel that were exposed to and are quarantined. Okay. So here's an example of an EMS directive that we have. This goes out to our fire and medical personnel. So it's on how we treat our patients when we're responding to calls. We ask that still to this day, if any citizens or anybody calls 911 and we respond, just please be patient with us just for a little bit longer when we're on scene. We're having to get all our PPE on, so that way we don't get exposed to possible COVID or transfer it to anybody else. So it takes a little bit longer to go in, and you'll just see one person go in and assess the patient. Unlike other times where we all go in at once, it's only one until we clear the patient from COVID. So again, protocol has contact numbers and how we assess patients as far as vital signs and what we look for on patients and wearing the proper PPE. All right. So this was an example of what the county sends to us. The public health department has the total cases for the Denton County, which ones are active, how many have recovered, how many deaths, and it has all the towns listed. The only thing they did not break down, because it's a lot of work, was all the freshwater districts and stuff. So you won't see that. It's only broken into 4 areas in the unincorporated county. But again, the health department notifies us directly via email if there's any cases that we have in those areas. Okay. That's it for an overview of our COVID-19, of our response and what we're doing and how we're helping all the towns out. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you. I can't hear you, Mayor.
Talk, and this was even before the county engaged. So again, terrific that you brought all of us together, gave us the information, and we were actually able to provide our recommendations to the county commissioners. Second thing, how are you doing on PPE right now? Is the fire department okay?
Yes, sir. We're in a lot better shape than we were at the beginning of this, and we're doing better now.
Great. Thank you, Chief, and thanks for everything the department is doing.
Yes, sir.
Council, any comments? Great. Chief, again, we very much appreciate your time and your efforts.
Thank you.
Okay, financial report, including first quarter's investment report, engineering report, animal control report. Ms. Dixon?
Thank you, Mayor. You have the financial report if you have any questions. The only thing I'd like to note is that Independent Bank notified us that the interest rate will be reduced from 1.41% to 0.55% due to the economic conditions. We're monitoring that. We're also monitoring the investment account. So if that falls below what Independent Bank is at, I'll transfer those investment funds into Independent Bank if it falls below. We'll monitor the reduction of our revenue. We won't see sales tax for a couple of months out, but we won't do any expenditures of any large amounts if we don't need any of those items. So we'll kind of just halt our spending at this time if nothing's needed. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Are you going to do, Tammy, are you going to do the animal control report as well?
Tammy, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Get used to this. They patrolled the streets and they responded to removal of 2 animals off the road.
Terrific, thank you. Engineering report.
Gary's reports in
You're muted, Tammy.
There you
Gary's
go.
report is included. Gary, do you have any comments?
No, in fact, I don't even have that report in front of me. But if you have any questions, I can sure answer them.
He's going to update the council on the 2019 road project after this.
Councilmember Trailer
Very
here.
good. Please, Councilman Trailer.
Did we pass that information on to Gary about the concerned citizens report?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the monthly reports for March?
Councilperson Carrington, can I just ask Gary a quick question? Do you have any idea when they're going to be patching the holes in the road? There's a lot of holes on Jeter.
Yes, we're working on a work order for the annual contract for our spring work order.
Okay.
I was hoping to get with the contractor this week and kind of work on pulling all of that together. It may be next week before we get it completely ready. I haven't talked to him about how fast he can get to it, but I hope to have the work order issued no later than next week, probably
Okay.
early in the week. And hopefully he'll be able to get on it pretty quick. From what I've heard from talking to him, I think he will be able to get it pretty quickly.
Okay. Thank you, Gary.
Mhm.
All right, item number 1, discuss an update on the 2019 residential streets project.
All right, we are getting to where the end is nearly in sight on this project. Dove Creek is in process right now. They just the other day, maybe yesterday, paved the southbound side, and they'll be then moving over to obviously flip the traffic and do the west or the northbound side, base course only. And then once we've got it all paved, then we'll come back and put on 1.5 inches of type D asphalt to finish it up. The only other street we have remaining then will be about a 700-foot stretch of Glenview. And then we have a pretty good series of punch list items. I believe what Councilman Trailer was referring to was a citizens report of some failures in Hunter Court. And I saw pictures of that probably just an hour or so ago. Obviously, that'll be on the punch list, and there'll be some pavement that has to be taken out, maybe some subgrade repaired, depending on what the actual problem is, and we'll get that fixed up. I'm hopeful, well, I hate to speak for the contractor, but I'm hopeful that by next council meeting, I'll try to be realistic, we'll be almost done. Let's go with that. I think we should be pretty close to done.
All
Any
right,
questions?
council, any comments or questions of Gary? Great. Gary, thank you, sir.
You bet.
Item number 2, discussion on COVID-19 status and requirements at the federal, state, county, and local levels. Mr. Voss.
Thank you, Mayor. I really don't have that much to update anybody with. I think the news reports have been fairly good at letting us know what the governor has been issuing here lately, and with what and with Denton County lately, they pretty much stayed the course. The governor, of course, is starting his reopening committee and trying to get those things going forward. I guess really the one discussion point would be whether the council or anyone wants to readdress the ordinance that we passed a while back either address it now, talk about any particular changes that we may want to look at for another meeting, those kinds of things. But I think right now the governor has tried to get things going in the right direction. And I think because of that, most of the counties I'm aware of have been following suit, just in the terms of watching and waiting and listening.
So, Ed, what I would like to do is meet with you at the end of this week or early next week. Let's find out what situation we're in. The dynamics of this are changing so rapidly that I would hate for us to take some action when there may be a significant change between now and when our ordinance ends, which I believe is on the 30th.
That's right. Anybody have
Council,
any questions?
oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Perfect. I was going to say the same thing. Very good. Okay. Time being 7:28 p.m., we are convened into closed session. The Town Council to convene into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Section 551.071 and 551.074 to discuss matters relating to the consultation with Town Attorney and personnel as follows. Consultation with Town Attorney regarding Ordinance 685-20 declaring a local state of disaster due to public health emergency. Consultation with Town Attorney regarding legal issues related to police operations. Consultation with Town Attorney regarding legal issues related to Waste Connections franchise agreement, and deliberation consideration of appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employees, to wit, Town Administrator. Time being 7:29, we are convened into closed session. Tammy?
Just a moment. Mayor, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, we're working with this today, and it may ask you to join the meeting.
We did get a message to join.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's asking you to join. You need to join the meeting. Are you there? Okay. Okay, you're in there. Thank you. This item, Councilmember Taylor had a question about the letter that was sent to the town from Waste Connections regarding their bulk trash pickup due to COVID-19 and the absorbing of trash that people were doing. They asked that they were going to start bulk pickup during this time. Councilmember Taylor. I have not received any calls from anybody. her that since we delayed our spring cleanup, that perhaps we do a fall cleanup to try to make up for that program, and this connection was completely approved. We advertised for the position. We received probably 10 or probably about 12 applications. Several of them aren't even considerable. They're not qualified. We have requested the position to include language to let the applicants know that it's a working town administrator position. So when you get out, if they see town administrator, they think it's like Louisville, Lauderdale, even Argyle are bigger than us, and the other staff. In this town, it's really what's working administrator, like, all respect, the chief is a working chief. Where we have a former chief that we have a lot. That just needs to be known when that person comes in. They are the administrator, they are responsible to the town council, but they have to help people at the comments and they have to do their own things and the limits to do it. With that time, we hired Michael. We looked at the applications, staff reviewed them, did some preliminary interviews with them, narrowed the candidates down to what 3 candidates to council interview, narrowed it down to Jeff lost out on his candidate, and definitely hired Michael, and they're actually a great choice for us, and we got to keep them a year longer than promised us. So hopefully the council still desires to continue with that direction again. Because I mean, this is what this the applications that we did have. There's some pulled ones out that I think would be applicable. Shuffle them up, gave them the chief and said, pull some out that you think that would be applicable for it. He actually pulled out the same one. So I thought that was a good start for us. Yeah, I like what I do. I think I've each of you individually, and you show where I stand, and I will continue to serve in my capacity. And really, the town secretary has been here. I think I'm going my next year. We've been through 3 administrators, so pretty soon. Mayor, we just will have to go back and put the computer and bring it back into open session. Give me just a moment. There you go, Mayor.
In 7:57, we are reconvened into open session. Town council to reconvene into open meeting and consider actions, if any, on items discussed in closed session. No action taken. Time being 7:57, we are adjourned. Council, thank you very much for your time. Tammy, fantastic. This worked out very, very well.
Good job, Tammy.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Have a great evening, everyone. Thank
Thanks,
you.
all.
Thank
Stay
you.
healthy.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Nice job. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.